meeting on Thursday, June 18th, 2026 at 5:15, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will open public comment where Newmarket residents are invited to offer comments on any agenda items for up to 3 minutes at 5:16. And I will also close at 5:16. We will move on to committee updates and board comments. I know we had some committees meet recently.
Yep, we had the Handbook Committee meet last Tuesday. It was a good meeting. Thanks to all those folks who contributed. It was very quick and easy with Bryant and Teresa shepherding us through it. So it was a very good meeting. I believe we have the handbook to approve tonight.
And we just had a policy meeting this afternoon on the use of artificial intelligence. There's going to be a new policy coming out. Hopefully we can get it approved before the beginning of the school year, but we had Jason, they went to a COSIN meeting, which is a network, what is it, the Committee of Security Network System in Boston, and Newmarket was one of the only one New Hampshire schools to be to go to this, but they found an awful lot of good information to begin this policy, because of course it would all be brand new with AI generated tools and use in the classroom, responsible use, prohibited uses, data privacy and security, things that we in the district AI use plan, there's going to be a task force of teachers that will work with them to make a realistic policy for the classrooms, and they're going to meet in August.
Yeah, they're starting in August. Yeah.
And so then hopefully the next meeting they'll have something. If not this policy tonight, there'll be changes to it or whatever, because this is only a draft. So we'll have something to go forth with.
Kathy, do you know, is this a policy that will be for teachers and staff or for students or both?
I think it's going to be for the whole district.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a general policy to establish guidelines for AI in all forms. Yep.
So that would, and it's going to hopefully reach out to families as well. So because whatever we do now extends through the family and community. So they've got a good start on it, I think. Wouldn't you think so, Liz?
Absolutely. And their approach seems to be not to be scared of the technology, but to find ways to both embrace it, but also monitor it and be aware of its, there's pros and cons and being aware of all of them. So it sounds like a really nice start, and this task force sounds like it's going to be a great way to get ahead of, as best you can, get ahead of what might be coming down the road.
Okay. And I think that's it. All right. We don't have a student representative report just yet, but we'll start. Our new student rep, Maggie, will begin. Maddie. Sorry, Maddie, if you're watching. I'm sure you're watching at home with bated breath. She will start with the start of the new school year. So that brings us to Superintendent Allen. Superintendent report.
Well, thank you. I'll throw in a student report. Boys baseball team on Saturday won the state championship. That was pretty exciting, beating arch rival Epping. It was kind of fun to watch the faces of Mr. Mazzoni and so forth. But it was a great game. Kids played well. I have to say, one of the things that I have been impressed with, not just this isn't just about baseball. It's about Newmarket kids, and there's many times when we're in an athletic competition where we might not necessarily be the best athletes, but I gotta tell you, these kids are as competitive and resilient as, and it's not just baseball, it's every sport, every activity. It's just really impressive to see, and I think that's a real measure of the athletic program and the community. So should be a very proud moment for Newmarket. It was the 6th time in the last 7 years that Newmarket has played for the state championship, and they've won it 3 different times. So it's like a dynasty, if you will. So, very exciting.
He said it.
Kind of on the spirit of just like the community, one of the neat things at the end of the school year is you get a chance to go to lots of great events. I know a lot of people were at graduation for the high school on the June 5th. Every year I'm just taken aback at just the level of community engagement and support. Liz and I were talking just before the meeting about the fact that there were just so many people who were not necessarily there with a particular kid, but they were there as community members to celebrate the graduates. It's just a wonderful thing. And just to put in a plug, if you want to hear a great speech, watch the video, watch the speech. Actually, 3 great speeches, really. Andy Corman's speech as principal, Spencer Bosek's speech as salutatorian, and Kaya Daberstein's speech as valedictorian. Great speeches. And what was just really kind of heartwarming is the theme in all of them was very similar. It was very much the community that we live in and how it kind of wraps itself around the kids and gets them to that point. So really inspiring. And then earlier this week, I got a chance to go to the 5th grade celebration for their step up to middle school. A couple of board members present with kids there. One of the things that I was struck by, and I've been struck by many times in this community, is it's the middle of a school day, it's 1 o'clock, and there were, 400 people who showed up to honor these kids. And it was just really heartwarming to see, and I think, again, it speaks to the great community. And again, the messages from Mr. Pine and others in the ceremony was very much about the community. And then the 8th grade graduation was pretty cool as well. That was Monday night. Again, Mr. Fitzpatrick was the keynote, I guess you could say, and it was a wonderful speech of his sharing his perspective on middle school and sort of how that shapes a kid. But again, just really exciting to see, and in all cases, the investment of the parent community, but also even beyond that, just to celebrate the kids and the great things that they do. And then really the last big event that I really enjoyed going to was the NES Field Day, it was so hysterically funny. Nancy Miller obviously was retiring, is retired now. Okay, she's done. That's as of today. But there was a wonderful effort by the community to do these T-shirts for Nancy, and
Get excited.
it had get excited. One of her many phrases. But what was really funny about it is the kids started parading out there, and I think probably 100 kids had passed her with the T-shirt on, and she didn't realize that she was on the shirt. And it wasn't until Patty Wants goes, "It's you, Nancy, it's you." And she looks at it and goes, "Oh my God, it's me." And so from that point on, she was very, very touched by it. But it was a nice way to celebrate her, but also, obviously, the field day is just a really great way to wrap up the school year. So all just wonderful, wonderful things. And again, it just speaks to what a great community we have. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And I'm just going to stop there.
Okay. I was just going to give a quick note. Although I wasn't at 8th grade graduation or field day, I had the privilege of being at the high school graduation, which was extremely warm. However, afterwards, everybody just stayed in there. I mean, people were talking. I mean, you would think it was the kind of heat where people would want to leave the building and start talking outside. And as Todd was speaking, I just thought to myself, okay, yeah, these people continued on their congratulations, and they're celebrating, and they're sharing stories inside as if it was not, 93 degrees and very, very humid. And then the reason I thought of that is because my son just graduated from 5th grade, and they had the option to get signed out, and he and his friends all wanted to stay.
Oh, wow.
So I just thought, wow, like, you don't typically hear an 11-year-old and his buddies want to stay at school because he wanted to be with his teacher and wanted to be with his classmates after graduation. So, again, that's just something that sets Newmarket apart as a community.
And I may have told this story once before, though. A couple of weeks ago, I had the chance to go out with the top 10 graduates for their celebratory luncheon. And during lunch, I just polled them and said, how many of you guys were in the Newmarket schools from kindergarten? All but one raised their hand that they'd been in Newmarket since kindergarten, and the one who didn't kind of did this. And I said, what does that mean? She goes, I came here in 2nd grade. Like that was somehow a failing of hers. But it gives you an idea how committed and long-term the families are to the schools. It's really cool.
That's it, all good news.
It is. I decided I'm going to give you enough bad news later in the meeting.
Okay, excellent. So we'll move on to something else also exciting and positive. We have PTA here to give us an update on the outdoor classroom.
Yeah. Sean, do you want to introduce our guests?
Good evening. Just checking. We're happy to share, or I should say members of the PTA, Ms. Franceschini, Ms. Duke, and Kristen Lanigan actually are here this evening to talk a little bit about the outdoor classroom and outdoor learning opportunities that are beginning to really unfold. There's a beautiful vision of where we'd like to head. They've done a tremendous job in getting this organized and polling the students, polling the teachers on what this could possibly look like at our school. So it's a really exciting time for it. Without further ado, I'm going to invite them up so they can show you the fantastic work that they have been doing so far.
Not good to touch patting your They're great, I like that. Hi. I think I've met almost everybody, but my name is Lizzie Franceschini, and I have 3 children in the schools. Sam, who's a 4th grader, and Hadley and Toby, who are twins in 2nd grade. And I used to teach here, the middle school, before it was redone, and I had all of Mr. Jordan's kids back in the day.
Lizzie, can you just get a little closer to the mic just a bit? Thank you very much.
And this is Kristen.
Hi, I teach 2nd grade.
And
I had Toby, and I had Sam.
Lucky lady.
Yes.
So yes, we want to talk a bit about the outdoor advocacy work of the PTA. I was the vice president of the PTA for 3 years. Now I'm just a regular old member, but still the chair of the outdoor advocacy committee. And as part of that, we are working on the outdoor classroom at Newmarket Elementary School. So to give a little background, the Outdoor Advocacy Committee has been around for a few years now. Our goal in general was to increase the amount of outdoor time for the students at Newmarket Elementary School. Our original goal focused on recess. Perhaps you remember many a petition crossing your desk if you've been on the school board long enough. When my Sam started in 1st grade, I think that we added the mini recess to a lot of the grades, going out 2 times, one time being a shortened time, but at least getting out a 2nd time. This past school year, we were able to advocate to add 5 more minutes to the recess time, bringing it up to 25 from 20. And we would love to see more. We're never giving up that battle. We'd love to see longer recess periods, but we are happy with the success that we've gotten. But we also realized like, there's only so much we can do with recess. We're really confined by the schedule, by the laws of New Hampshire, and the demands of the school day. So I think it was Mr. Pine who invited us to think creatively about what other ways can we increase outdoor learning and outdoor time for our students. So as a committee, we did that. We thought about what we could do before and after school, during PD days when all the kids are off and are looking for something to do. What special events could we add? What kind of grant funding could we go for? And how can we advocate for a more formal outdoor ed program at Newmarket Elementary School, which Kristen will talk more about. We've been using Four Winds Nature Institute and would continue. So we took all these ideas and we have had a lot of success over the last 2 years with these. We've done before school playground meetups every Tuesday morning in the fall and the spring. Kids and their families can get to Newmarket at like 8 a.m. and there's a whole group of kids out there playing before school. We did our first ever bike to school day this past fall. We have done 2 hike to school days, the past 2 Earth days, where we meet at the rec and hike through the trails to get to school to enjoy the earth. We do also during the PD days, we've offered outdoor meetups at the rec playground. We've done a couple of times. We met at Stratton Hill Park and did a hike up to the fire tower and biking. And we funded a stipend for Miss G to lead the Nature Club, a new club this past fall for 1st and 2nd graders after school. We funded a class set, by we I mean the PTA, if that's not clear. The PTA funded a class set of Oki rain suits so they can get out in all weather. We included the outdoor classroom as part of our initiative in our Newmarket Has Heart Week, which is an annual week where we get the kids involved in different community events. And then, of course, the reason that we're really here tonight is because we applied for and received an outdoor classroom grant from Fish and Game. So that brings us to the grant. We had a subcommittee from the PTA that met and worked on this grant over last summer. Then it was officially submitted in the fall by myself, Mr. Pine, and Ms. G. We received the grant in late fall 2025. We were told it was very competitive this year. Only a few grants were awarded, and as all of us who work with federal funding know, it's running out and going away. It's the last year that this grant is going to be awarded. So we are lucky that we got it. We got approximately $1,400 to use towards establishing an outdoor classroom at Newmarket Elementary School. So from the whole Outdoor Advocacy Committee, we wanted to also make sure we were connecting teachers and administrators and specialists with this work. So we started another committee. I do love a committee, what can I say? The outdoor
You'd love the
classroom.
Newmarket School stuff.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So the teachers that are on our committee are Miss Lanigan, Miss Miller, not the one that just retired, but the 2nd grade teacher, Miss Burns, and Miss G. And then Mr. Pine and Mr. Riley from administration. The PTA members who are not just PTA members, although that's great in itself, but we all kind of bring our own specialty to the committee. I'm the education program manager at the Southeast Land Trust. Melissa Fales works as an environmental attorney. Christy Lockhart works for the outdoor education program at SELF and a former elementary school teacher. And Sam Duke has career experience in nonprofit fundraising and major gifts. And then our specialist, Ted Kenziora, was assigned to us from U.S. Fish and Wildlife. He is the person who kind of oversees the grant, makes sure the money is being spent correctly, and also offers assistance along the way. So he's been at 3 of our meetings so far, and often just sends a thumbs up to things I send out as well, which is great. And then Tracy Ramsey is from Four Winds Nature Institute, which Kristen will tell you more about in a little bit. So that is the whole gang right there. So our vision was to find a place around the school that we could establish this classroom. So the backfield, need like a laser pointer. Can I come over here? Is this allowed? I'm doing
Yes,
it.
it is.
This little field right there is where we are thinking of basing it, more so in the woods as much as possible. That field is used for biking, some PE, It's used for the PTA fun run, but many times it's not used at all. So it's a perfect space to get the kids outside more and have a place to explore and learn. So the best practice when creating an outdoor classroom is to have different zones that kind of focus on different things. So we really wanted to follow that model with our outdoor classroom. We always say when these schools put a lot of money into these like fancy pavilions with like tables and desks, and then in my job, I go to these schools and we never use that. We're in the woods playing and exploring and getting hands-on. So that's not the vision we had. We had more of a play-based nature learning area as the vision for our outdoor classroom. So part of the grant was to get school community input before moving forward with anything. So we created a separate survey for 3 groups of stakeholders: a staff and teacher survey, a student survey, and then a committee survey. So they all had a chance to fill that out. We had like almost 40 staff fill it out. There was like high investment, lots of great feedback. And then the classes, they worked together to kind of take the survey together and picked their favorite things as a class, and then the committee took it. And we took all of that data and we pulled out what were the favorite things in each of those areas that I was defining earlier with my little chart. So this is what we're hoping it will look like. We want to have a gathering area. We decided to go with log stump seats. They can be in a circle, but they can also be moved into a U shape or any other shape that you need to, small groups, big groups, pairs, whatever. So that is what we are envisioning for the seating. Also, one of the most popular items across the board was asking for an outdoor stage or learning platform, which I wasn't expecting. You never know. And so we want to put that near the seats so that the seats can be moved to see something that's happening on the stage or whatever like that. So this is going to be in the, when you're like standing at the buses and like looking away from the school towards the field, it'd be in like the upper right hand part of the field.
We know what you mean. I can visualize. I got you.
And this is really like the only, well, not the only thing, but one of the only things that will be more like on the field space. Other things will be more in the woods, but the seating area will be in the back corner. It's not even close to being touched by the fun run circle, and therefore we don't think it'll be touched by the biking. It's really just an unused spot, so that's what we're leaning on towards for that. Now, one of the busiest areas is our STEAM and sensory exploration area. So we're looking to have building loose parts, an art wall, a kindness rocks garden, a mud kitchen, a hammock area, and this is going to be along the stone wall. So the whole right side of the field has this stone wall where we are going to make it like long and skinny along there, these different stations where they can go and build and create and read a book in a hammock or play in the mud kitchen. Those different options along there. The gross motor area, Mr. Riley knows that we need to get some insurance approvals, but the hope is that we are going to have a spider web climber, probably just like this one, partially using trees and partially using stakes that we put in, a balance course, and a stick fort. And so this will be in the back left of the field is where we're thinking of putting the balance course, and then also in the woods behind the gathering area for the spiderweb climber and the fort. And then nature exploration supplies, we're planning on purchasing 2 to 3 wildlife nature information signs, whether about mammals or birds or the pond ecosystem, because there's a nice pond back there, which is great for science learning. And maybe native pollinators, because we are going to add, there's tons of invasives back there, so the plan is to pull out the invasive species, mostly burning bush, and replace it with native plants. A class set of binoculars and a class set of nets as well. So you're like, that was a lot. How are you going to buy all that with $1,400? So we're not going to just use the grant. It was a great starting point for us. But how we plan to fund it is a combination of the PTA, who we're hoping we restart our budget July 1st, and we're asking for about $1,000 to go towards hammocks and the spiderweb climber from the PTA. We're planning to apply for Newmarket Community Education Partnership Grant for the art wall. We're planning to apply for the New Hampshire Environmental Education or Educators Association, the Need to Get Outside grant for a balanced course materials. Four Winds Nature Institute is donating the Loose Parks STEM exploration area. We've been in touch with the Eagle Scouts and are hoping that one of them will end up picking the stage project as their Eagle Scout project coming up. Sam has hit the pavement and been in contact with lots of hardware stores who are willing to donate to our project. So the Kindness Rocks Garden will be a combination of Fish and Game money plus Lowe's donations. The Mud Kitchen, as soon as we said we were getting an outdoor classroom, we had a private donor who wanted to donate a Mud Kitchen, so that is that. Fish and Game for the wildlife information. A stick fort is just $5 for zip ties, so hopefully the PTA can fund that. The seating is free. We have a lot of stumps at CELT. We work in the woods. So from there and other donors, we should be able to get about 25. And then the other items for classroom exploration, binoculars, class set of nets, and a game camera will come from Fish and Game. And we are hoping that the district perhaps will be able to fund a shed over there in that area for all of these materials to be stored in, so that it's not in the little closet across from Kristen's classroom where she has to like drag it across everything. She's making it work for now, which is amazing, but it's not ideal. And it's a lot easier when what you need is right where you're learning. So.
Absolutely.
So our next steps are we're going to continue to meet over the summer to check in on these different funding sources we're all working on, and to plan community work days, which we hope will happen in late summer, early fall. It'll be open to the school community. Ted from Fish and Wildlife will come and support us with the actual physical building of things. Erin Burns also has a connection with Timberland, and we'd love to get a Timberland work day here. If you're not familiar, they bring like their company and accomplish a ton in a very short amount of time. And we are going to continue to advocate for support of outdoor learning. We're going to hope that Four Winds Nature Institute will expand beyond the grades it's working with now and help with that in any way we can, and support professional development around using the outdoor classroom once it is up and running. So even though the outdoor classroom isn't here yet, the outdoor learning has gotten underway, so I'm going to hand it over to Kristen to talk more about that.
So when I first heard about the outdoor recess initiative and the outdoor learning, like as a teacher, it was definitely a little bit overwhelming because as you saw our schedule last week, I was watching Sean present it and I was like, it's really hard to see that. We're jam-packed and we have a lot of obligations and things. So the way that I live in Barrington, and Tracy Ramsey from the Four Winds Nature Institute has been doing outdoor learning there for years, and my children have benefited. So when I first heard that and then I saw that and saw the benefit, I was like, I think that we can make this work really well and bring things together. And so I talked with her, and that's how we connected with her. And she came and started in the year one rollout just working with second grade because I had that connection. So she would come once a week, but she'd work with a different classroom every week and we'd rotate. And so she was really modeling how it worked. And then this year that was last year, this year for year two, she did that with first grade and then continued with second grade. And I myself decided to do outdoor learning weekly because I was like, this is something that I've really seen a benefit with. I feel like if I just put it into my schedule and I build it in, I definitely will be able to achieve standards, still do what I need to do, but reap the benefit. And it's really shown like amazing results in my classroom. It was like one of the best times, like if I had to reschedule because I was absent and I feel like it was important for me to do it, or I knew it was raining in the morning, and even though we go outside in any weather, if it was like a little bit, I was like, well, we could do it this way, or we had an event, I would switch it. They would be like, when is outdoor learning? I'm like, we're gonna do it. So we have to go over the schedule. Like they really are invested in it. So there's a lot of information that Liz put in here about how studies agree that kids who play outside have better mental health, they're smarter, they're happier, they're more attentive. I know that there's a lot that has been talked about with technology lately and having added technology in the classrooms, and this really is a way to go with that we do use technology appropriately, but we also want to have our kids be outside and learn without technology too. So I don't know if you want to speak to some of these slides because you added in so much good research. Let me go over these.
I don't need to say much about it. I think everyone here knows that it is valuable, and I just think it's important to come back to that consistently because it can get lost in the demands of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But all the research shows that, you know, we could spend an hour and a half on a reading block, but the kids have lost their attention after 15 minutes. So that was, the calendar says you did it, but their brains doesn't.
Right.
If you take the time to go outside and let them have that release time, all of the data says that increases their mental, emotional, but also their academic performance.
Yeah. So some really good research through there. And so some of the things that I've done to really bring outdoor learning into my classroom weekly, obviously science and nature activities are some of the first things that we think of, and we definitely do those, and those are beneficial. Teaching science in a classroom or on a computer has become, I think, an easy way. There's a lot of really great technology with science lessons, but going outside and seeing and being in nature is so important. Cooperative games that are really important for kids to play with each other, especially at the primary level, and understand how we get along. We have 95% My View for reading in elementary school and Bridges for math, but we can take those things outside. There's been lessons that I've done. We've done measuring. We have done math facts outside. We bring, this year in my class, I brought most of our final projects outside to share in a variety of ways. So they would share with each other, next to each other. We did a little train. One time we did a circle, and we presented our time capsules that went with the My View reading program. It's also a great way to just reinforce standards. So those programs are amazing, but we also don't want to just be by the book every single piece of the program. So when I'm looking at what I'm teaching and I think about what things might need a little bit more, I can take those things outside and teach them. Some of the favorite things that my kids did was measuring trees or measuring the snow. They were like, this is so much fun. And then just bringing Read Aloud outside is an easy way to do it. I went to the Outdoor Learning of New Hampshire.
Oh, the New Hampshire Environmental Educators
Thank you.
Conference.
The conference this year, and I took one of the sessions on journals and poetry, and then I brought my class out with their nature journals, had some examples of poetry on a little drizzly day. It had kind of stopped raining a little bit, and the poems that my class came up with were beautiful, and they were so excited, and that is so valuable.
And they weren't using a computer to do that, right? They were actually physically writing.
Yes, they were writing
yes.
in their journals, and they had all the emotions tied to it,
Yep.
and it was wonderful. So I actually did a little bit more than a part of this at the last staff meeting at the elementary school, really trying to help teachers understand that this really enhances your learning instead of it being like we talked about, instead of adding to your plate, this really just goes in with what you're already doing, and it enhances, it actually makes your day easier versus looking at it as making it harder. So I've already had a few teachers come up that were excited about that and wanting to expand. So children are meant to be playing outside with other children, getting dirty, scraping their knees, their imaginations, and we want them to look up at the sky and make shapes out of the clouds. That's what they're born to do. That's a great quote. And yeah, so. The end. Questions?
Yeah. Nicely done.
Yeah, I was wondering how much extra time you think it adds to your day of time that they're not learning. Well, not that they're not learning, but they're getting dressed, snow pants and things like that, and you have to transition and then transition back in.
Yeah, it really didn't take that much because if you build it into the day, they get used to it. My class was like, that was one thing that I said to teachers too. I was like, you would think that like finding things, we did actually end up getting a load of rain boots and snow boots and different things, and I think I needed it once because my class was so excited they were always prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So if you build it into the time in the transition, the one thing with the outdoor classroom, so when we go work with Tracy, we go out to the woods, which we talked to a community member that led us, and some of those beautiful pictures with the hammocks and all of that, Tracy brought all of that with her. So something like that takes a little bit longer with the transition, but when I'm doing it, there's so many other outdoor spaces around the building, so if I know that I only have this much time in this day, we'll go right out to the little pond that's by our hallway. So I was talking with teachers about that too, that can be something that you think might take longer, but it really, once you get used to it, actually Jennifer Gulkazian, who is our librarian, she sent an email out and talked at staff meeting about how my class, because we got so used to being outside, she went out to the pond and she was like, they were ready to go. Like with all the kids that Tracy has worked with, Tracy Ramsey, we do our 3 rules for outdoor learning are be safe, be kind, be gentle, and we reinforce those every single time we talk about what those mean. And she's like, it was the smoothest because your kids are used to doing it, and just that value of being outside has helped them in so many other ways. So I feel like it actually gives me more time, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that the goal of equipping outdoor play spaces is to have the setup already there. And because I think, like, obviously, Kristen, you're a very enthusiastic teacher for this, and that's wonderful. But those that are less enthusiastic, it's how am I going to set this up? What am I going to do? And providing those things that are readily available, it makes a huge difference.
And that's with my mini closet right now that we're working on. One of my goals on the committee is to have those ready lessons so that if someone is like, well, what do? I can very easily help them. I'm someone in the building. I made myself accessible, and so you're not going to have everybody jump on board right away, but I think that seeing Tracy do some model lessons was the first piece, and then having me available to be like, oh, I don't even know. There were days this year that I said this to the staff, I said, there were days that I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do for outdoor learning this week when I was planning? But it was like a moment, and then it was just so easy, and if I really was stuck, I'd reach out to Tracy, and she sent me like 3 ideas, and I was like, oh yeah, that's really easy. So I think that getting teachers past that point also really helps, and having the materials and know where they are and how to access them. And I want to get some that are like, here is this lesson that works with your grade level standards, is one of our goals.
So we have 5 years, we have probably an average of 3 classes per year, I'm guessing. So that's 15 potential people wanting to use that space. Are you concerned at all with the capacity that you're able to offer?
Spaces.
No, because.
All right, that was easy.
We're planning on, once this is up and running, having a sign-out system, because Ted, especially our connection, said that has been an issue at other places. Like, once it's here and it's shiny and everyone wants to go use it, and then their class goes out and someone's there, and like, we don't want that.
Yeah.
So, and then they never go out again. So we'll have like a sign-out system, just like back in the day when we used to have to sign out the Chrome cart in these places. Just like that, a sign out of this, but this is not the only place, especially as Kristen said, her class in the first grade class is on like the totally opposite side of where this is. So they use the little pond over by that parking area a lot for exploration and learning, and the little field space where they do mini recess between the gym and first grade. So we'd like to have a map, and Sean did a great job drawing some things, your hand-drawn map. He did a great job. But we want to like label and kind of name these different areas and let people sign out where they're going. And then also, Ted made this point that like once you sign your class up, you're more likely to actually do it because you committed to it. You said we've reserved the space. You're making it so other classes can't use it, so you're gonna like actually go and do it.
Can I recommend the pond be Pine's Pond or Sean's Pond?
Oh, I like that.
One of
Pond.
We'll see. Is he going to give us a named gift, Pam?
Yeah, right.
I can even speak to one time I was outside with my class observing our tree, because we do a lesson with that through how the sun and the seasons change. And Nancy Miller was coming outside with kids snowshoeing, and she was like, we're coming over. And I was like, we're good. And we're outside. And so when the kids know what's expected, and they did their little thing in a circle by us, and I'm like, we can work together. Obviously, if we're both planning on using the hammocks at the same time, we need a sign-up system for that. But as we grow, we want to have a plan for that. But we still are flexible and kind. Be kind is one of our rules, and so we're here and we're going to work together so that more kids get the benefits of being outside.
And then One last thing, and I'll shut up. After today, I think I can contribute to the stick fort if you guys need to stop by my house. There's sure plenty of sticks available there.
Excellent. Yes, always
I might
taking
even have some
donations.
zip ties.
I also just wanted to mention, I know we talked about 4 Winds a lot, and you might not be familiar with what that is, but it's a nonprofit organization that Tracy's grant that she's working with right now is just focused on getting public school students in New Hampshire outside more during the day. And luckily for them, it's privately funded, so hopefully the grant will continue. The grant ends this September, but all indications are that it will continue. You never know. But so all of this work that she has done has cost Newmarket nothing, and they'll do professional development on these topics for free. That is what they're funded to do. So an amazing resource and connection to have, and that's why we're really hoping to build it. Because why not? It's great and it's free. Can't get better than that.
I'm hopeful that this will have a similar impact the way that the wellness block. I mean, I haven't been at the high school during it, but Dr. Horman's talked about like having that wellness block in there. At first, it seemed, people were like, "This is insane!" Like they need to be where they need to be for middle schoolers, and then the behaviors just plummeted. And so I think they actually got more usable time back. You have the quality of the instruction and the quality of the learning just improves drastically, I think. And then you said professional development, and it made me think of something. Thinking about some of the maybe less enthusiastic people in terms of trying something new. Does Tracy, does she ever do like a co-teaching kind of like, this is how you would do it in your schedule, and then?
Yeah, I mean, that was her first rollout, was meeting with the team that she was working with, explaining it, talking about it, and then working with the team to demonstrate lessons and model, and we talk about what things tie in. She also really would like to come in and do some professional development like at different PD days, but we're still in the process of that. So we're hoping that working with the professional development committee, I'm not on that committee myself, but I know Sean is, right?
Yeah, we know people. Don't worry.
And so we want to, build that in for teachers too on a day, so that even if there's someone who might be more resistant, if it's a part of a PD day, that then they hear some more information that sparks their interest. And she's going to come in the fall and is offering to meet with teams so that if they're interested, we really would like to expand to kindergarten and third to kind of go from where we are, but also I presented at staff meetings saying, that doesn't mean that it's not, if 4th and 5th grade teachers are interested, that they can't meet with her too, and she'll definitely work with them, so.
I just want to thank you. This philosophy is I'm just thrilled about this, and the fact that you're paving the way for the other teachers who might just be hesitant. Like, here's the whole lesson you can just take outside. That's just a lovely approach. And I think with my parent hat on, I think I'm constantly being like, go outside, let's get outside. And I think that you're teaching kids what to do when they go outside. Sometimes the question is like, to do what? And you're doing the things of just sit out and observe the way this tree changes over time, and that's exceptional. Thank you.
And I think you gave, on the slide where you talked about the different things that you could do, I was so happy to see read aloud on there, because I think that's something that every single elementary school teacher does, and that's such a good entry level point. Like, everybody, you already do this. Yeah. You could just, you grab your snack, and instead of going there, you go outside.
Seats and different things, so that if you don't like the itchy grass, we have ways to make it even more comfortable.
Well, I do want to just say thank you to the PTA and Kristen for being involved, but you guys really have put your efforts where your mouth is. You wanted something, you've developed this. I mean, it shouldn't be lost. That wonderful playground that's over there started with the hard work of the PTA, and you guys have really done a lot to keep moving the ball forward, and this is just one more example of the great stuff you're doing, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to say thank you too. I'm kind of a newer member here, but I was an elementary teacher and preschool, kindergarten, all that. So this excites me. I can really see why this could really take off. So there's nothing like being in the place to learn about what you want to have them learn. So if that makes sense.
Yes,
So
100%.
Thank you.
You'll have,
Wonderful.
I know that obviously materials and whatnot would be locked up, but I took my kiddo and her friend they wanted to go to the playground because it wasn't raining. Which playground do you want to go to? The school playground. Like, are you sure you don't want to go? No, we want to go to the school playground. So I think that it will be enjoyed by, community
Yeah,
members
yeah.
as well, even.
Can I bring my grandkids?
Absolutely.
I know, I'd love to see even the middle school make their
Oh,
way
yeah.
over to the,
I know. One
Stage or
year, and then
something.
my oldest is in middle school, so.
The wheels are turning. Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much.
much.
It's really exciting, and the effort you've put in is remarkable.
Thank you.
Oh, Chief Jordan, you have to follow that. What are you going to?
The PD outdoor play
So,
classroom, yeah.
So, thank you, Chief
Thank you for
Jordan, for
coming.
being here, I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Just to kind of remind the board, probably a month or so ago, we started this process of trying to get the MOU updated and reactivated, and I know you at the board table had conversations about the previous version of it. The chief and I spent quite a bit of time taking a look at this, and I think he ran it by town legal counsel, and really said, you know what, it's really time for a whole new thing. So really, that's kind of where we're at, and I mean, from my perspective, we kind of talked this through, and I really think this agreement aligns very well with how we function.
I would agree,
yeah.
and that is exactly what we did. We put it before the town attorney, and they kind of said, hey, the one that we had has become insufficient, and we need to relook at this, and this is what they came up with. And quite honestly, when we were looking at it, it seems those are guidelines that we already operate that way for the most part.
Right, right. Yeah, so I mean, and it actually, keep in mind that the, previously we had two separate MOUs, one for the SRO and another one for the video camera access and so forth. And this has brought it together under one agreement, defines the role of the SRO, defines the relationship between the school district and the police department. And I think it really fleshes things out in a way that's using modern language, terminology that aligns with what we have been doing. So I really invited the chief to be here in case, because we had a lot of conversation about the two previous versions, but I wanted to give you the opportunity, if you had any questions, that he and I could potentially answer together if you have any.
I don't have questions in particular, but I did, when we were preparing the agenda for tonight, I did say to Todd, I felt like it was clear language, and not that anything was, put into, I don't know, street vernacular, but I felt like it was very clear what was being, there wasn't anything where there was room for misinterpretation, and then I felt like it was so much more modern, like going with what we actually.
The attorney that I spoke with, we talked about it, and he said he's done very similar agreements for multiple school districts, and this is kind of something he's been developing over the last few years. And he said this is, in his opinion, a little bit more modern, and it's going to cover everybody from both sides. And he felt it was something that he'd been working on for quite a while. And quite honestly, when I looked at our old one, then it really looked insufficient when he provided this one. So I thought it was a good move, and as Todd said, it spells out pretty much what everybody's obligation or responsibility is, and kind of lays it all out there for everybody.
So I didn't study this as hard as completely as I probably should have before this, but scrolling through it, I did notice something a bit, I'm not sure, odd, and I understand entirely why it's done, but I'm not sure it makes the most sense. So 11.4.2 talks about if there's a criminal investigation requiring cameras to be accessed, the superintendent will be notified of the request for that access. Makes total sense. In the event that the superintendent is, or in the event that the investigation involves the superintendent, not that it ever would, the notification will go to the school board chair, which I understand because the school board is the employer of the superintendent. but we also don't have really any access to anyone in the buildings or in the SAU. So,
Well, I think it is trying to address a very, very specific set of circumstances that I
Yeah.
hope I never present to you.
I hope so too.
But it really is, a lot of policies are written in a way that says the superintendent is sort of like the final step.
Yeah.
And I think, it's not uncommon that would be the person who would make that authorization. This is trying to account for the fact, what if it is superintendent? So the next.
yeah, but having been the chair, the problem is the chair in and of themselves aren't statutorily given any kind of authority, nor is the board technically over that kind of access permission. And then presumably the chair would need to notify the rest of the board, so then we probably have to have an emergency meeting or something. I'm just trying to think
Well,
through how
one
this
thing to
would
keep in mind,
practically happen.
if it did if that did happen and it was an issue involving behaviors of a superintendent, it might very well involve a search warrant or something like that anywhere, so the police may just approach it that way. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
I would agree with that. There's a good chance if there was a criminal investigation involving the superintendent, that it would be something that we would immediately turn over to an outside agency where we have a working relationship. I'm not saying that necessarily it would, but what we would be seeking is, currently the way it's set up is we need authorization to access those cameras absent an emergency. We get that authorization through the superintendent right now. If he's the one that is the subject of that, we would need to seek authorization through.
Yeah, which I totally get and I understand, but it's also putting the chair in a bit of a strange position, because statutorily you don't have that authority, or no one does. But and then is it just a verbal authorization that you're receiving from the superintendent in the
Yes.
case it was him?
Yes, and something that we would document in each instance, but somebody would have to, we don't have control over the cameras, and that's part of the agreement. We have access in certain circumstances. An emergency would be one of those,
Right.
But that's why we seek
Well, I
permission.
guess
Did the
practically,
other version, I was so focused on the SRO one.
yeah.
That I feel like I just assumed, did the previous version of the video camera
I didn't denote that. I
MOU
don't recall seeing it.
have this?
I don't think it was that specific.
No.
No, I
Okay.
don't think so either, and I think it is a very, very narrow, very specific circumstance that
Well-
it's attempting to address.
So I'm wondering if maybe the issue lies not in the way this is written, but the fact that we don't have a policy, or we haven't formally granted the chair permission to give that authority. And maybe that's something preemptively that either needs to be
Well,
in policy or.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, we could do a policy review on our video cameras and include in our own policies something that gives the chair the authority in that very specific circumstance.
Yeah.
I do think if that were to happen, I would assume the chair would use their discretion to seek out legal.
I don't even know if we know how to do that. I guess we'd have to contact Ellen and see if they could just contact the council. Obviously not to
Yes.
say why, but.
Again, we're speculating on circumstances that would be hard to project.
Yeah, of course. Well, I've actually, had to do that before, but.
So,
So,
can I ask this question?
Sure.
If something happened and he had to be put on administrative leave, you would appoint somebody to.
But we'd have to have an emergency meeting to do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
And
not,
then-
it's just practically, what are the steps to make sure that, one,
Yeah.
that the chair feels comfortable, and two, that we're following our
Yes.
rules that we have to
Certainly,
follow.
we'll have to clear that up,
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
or not you have the
My
Yeah.
thought would be if the chair was in any way uncomfortable, they'd say no. And then the police would have to do whatever steps they would
Yeah.
need to do to conduct their investigation. And then it might trigger a special meeting or whatever
Yeah, I mean,
was needing to happen.
Having been the chair, I could say no for two reasons, right? Like, no, I don't feel you have enough evidence, or what, are you presented with enough reasoning that I feel comfortable saying that. But two, it's like, I really don't have that authority, so I feel like we need to do something in our policy
Yep.
to address it as well.
Is there someone in the chain of command that would have authority outside?
Well, it would have to be a subordinate to Todd, and that doesn't make any
Right,
sense.
yeah, and
I
that
mean,
doesn't,
typically, when
Yeah.
I'm not able to perform my duties, it would be Patty Wan,
Right.
she's the assistant superintendent.
but that, I mean, this wouldn't be the case here,
Right,
so.
right.
So it's either you're the top, and then,
And then it's the board.
and then it's the
Not the
board.
chair, the board, which
Right,
is
the
why.
board.
So the board would have to authorize the chair
So,
in that,
so.
or have an
so-
emergency meeting, which is certainly doable.
So
but-
with this, if it was added that the board would approve the school board chair to authorize.
Well, I don't think it needs to be in this policy, but I guess you do talk about urgency, and maybe that comes into play here, because we could very easily have an emergency meeting and discuss it
Mhm.
as a board
Mhm.
and decide. And if that took a day, it sounds like that wouldn't be an issue necessarily.
I mean, depending on
The
depending on
circumstances,
the
clearly.
seriousness
Yeah.
and the
Yeah, yeah.
circumstance, if it was that serious, we'd get a search warrant. And
Yeah,
want
I mean, it's not like the
immediately.
video's getting deleted every 24 hours or
Right,
anything.
Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah.
But I think you're right, maybe clarifying that within your own policy to say either you do have the authority, or we can identify the person that would have the authority in that specific circumstance.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is fine as is, and we just need to maybe think it through a tiny bit, but it may just be an emergency meeting, and that's simple enough, but.
Mm.
But I think it is worthy of taking a look at our policies on video access and how we regulate it, and that we can probably look at how we can.
Maybe that's a reminder for you to be on your good, best behavior.
Yeah.
I was saying, I'm getting nervous. There's something I'm being surveilled for, and I'm just concerned. I don't know.
I really don't need that headache right now.
All right.
Thank you very much for taking time to
Thank
look
you.
at this
Thank you.
again.
Can I
know
ask,
it,
can I add one? I have one quick comment. My son just graduated 5th grade and came home talking about the LEAD program all the time, and just like, it prompted a really great conversation in our house, so that was wonderful. Thank you.
I did want to say, if you have a minute, I just wanted to say that over the years, I feel like this program has gone from being a police officer in the school to really being school resource officers, and the program has really changed, and we are super lucky to have the two guys that we have doing it right now. Rich McFadden is here, and he loves the school. You talk about the sporting events, he's at the sporting events, he's, helping coach the football team, and Gary Gott, who is the lead program, he loves it. He really feels like he's a part of the staff down there. So not just a police officer in the school anymore, that this is a program that they both feel like they're a part of the community. I don't know if the school staff feels that way, but that's the way they feel, and it feels like it has changed to be such an asset, not just for the schools, but for us as well. We've had several instances where we've been able to rely upon them. They have the knowledge of the families and things going on in town, that we've really been able to utilize that to help us out in a variety of ways. But if that makes any sense to you,
Yes, it does.
100%,
when we first started this, it was kind of just like we plunked the police officer in the school, and he was, not quite sure what to do, and over the years it has really changed, and these guys are involved and engaged, and when you talk to them about the kids and the families, they know them all. I see, especially Gary, I see the young kids, running up to him and talking to him, and it's exciting to see, because that's the relationship that we really wanted to build. The safety component of it is obviously important, but the relationships is really what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and I think it's very successful. And I do agree that you have the two that you have are exceptional resource officers, but I also think even when they're not there, your other officers come in and they're just as quickly well received and so forth. And I do think it does have a really positive impact on how our kids and families view the police in a way that, like you say, it's in a resource, not as a you're here to catch me doing something wrong kind of a thing. And I think that's really an important thing. And I think that's sort of the transition that you described there. When you first put a police officer in the school, it's like, well, they're there to catch lawbreakers. And yes, there's a component of that, but it's that relationship, it's that seeing the police as a person they can turn to for help, that kind of thing. And whether it's Wayne coming with gadget or whatever, it's like there's always some element in the schools of the police, and I just think it's a great thing, and it shouldn't be lost. It's not that way in every community, and I think it is, Newmarket.
I think we're extremely lucky. You talk about Wayne and Gadget, and they're great at filling in, and Wayne was a school resource officer for many years. He still teaches NASRO, which is it certifies school resource officers, and the program has kind of developed such over the years. We used to kind of have to coax people into it, and now we've had people come to us and say, hey, if this opens up, I really would appreciate an opportunity, so people that are looking to
when I was at the baseball game, I didn't catch the gentleman's name, but he's the SRO in some other community, and he came over talking to Jamie Hayes about, when Rich retires, I'm coming over, I'm going to be your next SRO. So it's not just in Newmarket, there are police around the region who think it'd be a great place to come. So
I also think that has something to do with the school too,
Yeah.
like the relationship that we have with the school. We're very lucky because, as you said, it's not like that everywhere. So.
yeah.
Would you mind, I think we're all aware of how great the resource officers are that we have now, and just recognizing that someday there will be new people, but it does take a while to develop that relationship. I was reading this about the training and that they have to go through a training. Would you mind just sharing, what does that look like?
So right now, Wayne Stevens, who retired from us, is a NASRO certified officer. They go away for initially a couple weeks of education on school resource, mentoring, things of that nature. It's initially 2 weeks, but every year they have to go back for ongoing training. But it's a lot more than, there's not a lot of law enforcement, so to speak, because they get that otherwise, but it's more about building relationships and dealing with different groups of people, and what your role actually is, and learning to be the resource that is in the resource officer. But it really is kind of like an ongoing thing, ongoing education. So they start out, they have to have some experience, and we don't want to put somebody that's fresh out of the police academy that doesn't even know what they're doing as a police officer. But they would have to show some aptitude towards dealing with people. Obviously, the kids and the staff are super important. But there's a lot of different education focused on dealing with anything that you can think about, whether it be dealing with mental health issues and things of that nature. But like I said, the initial program is 2 weeks long, and then every year a week more. But it's not just a week. We may send them to other different programs to, Gary and Rich have been doing it for a while, but they go to several different programs. Some of them are geared towards safety, some of them are geared towards dealing with different groups, just being able to adapt and help out.
Sounds like that's partly why it's so successful too then. That's great, thanks.
Yeah, I think some of it's definitely the people
Yes.
that,
Yes.
have filled that role. It's just so organically, and but just my last 2 cents is that we talk at home more about trusted adults and all those things, and I feel like for both of my children, Officer Gott is up there with their classroom teachers, Mr. Pine, they really see him as part of that community, and that's what we want, is that kids aren't afraid.
Yep.
That it's more, this is the person I would go to if I needed
and
help
that
with
is so valuable, because that's the thing that we're trying to do, is bridge the gap, and it certainly helps us, and like I said, it's helped us dealing with community events and things of that nature, them having that relationship, and people. Just yesterday, so the last day of school was this week. Well, Gary was at the station, and we were having an issue with these e-scooters, and a family was right. So I said, hey, Gary, I need you to call this person, and because he's got a lot of knowledge about that. and I overheard him on the phone. Hey, it's Gary. Like the lady knew who he was from the school. You know, oh, I know you. You know, and it was just, it worked well because he could talk to them about the safety component of it, and it wasn't like any type of confrontational thing. It was just more about, you know, their safety. So.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
very
for
much.
taking the
Thank you.
time.
Thank you, Chief. I really appreciate you taking the time tonight to come
Yes.
in and spend some time with us.
All right. The only last thing I would say is when you leave here, be careful. There's a lot of trees
Are
down.
there really?
Fires down right now. So
Have we lost power around the
a
town?
few places. I don't know. You live. I know where you live. There's a
Yeah.
couple trees down there. So.
We always lose power.
Off Great Road?
I know, we're in
Great.
Newfield,
Bald Hill?
essentially.
There definitely is a tree down on Bald Hill, but I think it's in.
I didn't hit it.
No, that's true.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks,
Thank
Greg.
you very much. No, I hit the telephone pole, not the tree.
It's gonna be hard to have a basketball meeting with no power at my house.
Oh, no.
Half of it pans and O's.
Yeah.
All right. Proposed resolutions for the New Hampshire School Board Association Delegate Assembly, which Gary is the rep for.
Yeah,
And we haven't typically proposed any resolutions in my time on the board.
No, I just want to make sure we kind of formally have the opportunity to do that, so I appreciate you putting it on the agenda. And then probably as we get closer to the actual meeting, we can decide whether we want representation to go for any particular issue.
I know last year when I went there, it was all open enrollment. The resolutions, that was the big one. So,
I think things are just getting quieter in Concord, so I don't really see
we'll
any
find out.
particular issues that
We'll
we'll be
find out-
interested in.
We'll find out by
Yeah.
next Wednesday.
Yes.
I know,
Right.
that's,
Thank you for going.
Yeah, so the deadline for the resolutions is July 1st? is that
July
right?
3rd at 5
Okay.
PM
Oh,
or
July
4:30.
before next
Oh, my
week.
gosh, that's next
So
week.
after that, we'll probably have the opportunity to talk about what the resolutions are.
We usually get an email with all
Yeah.
the resolutions,
Okay.
yeah.
all right, Employee Handbook updates, which is also Todd and Gary.
I know, Gary, Bryant gave me a bulleted list of things to highlight, unless you.
I don't have that list, so.
Okay, I will highlight.
There were very few items that we
Yeah, I mean-
modified.
Okay.
Just for reference sake, 3 years ago, I think it was that we didn't have an employee handbook 3 years ago, and so we basically Jana Mellon actually spearheaded the effort, and we put together a whole district level committee. We reviewed it, and we wanted a one-stop shop for all employees to be able to go to get the information they need about their employment situation. So that was created, and so basically every year we convene the committee to review the handbook and make any updates that need to be made, because we don't want to let it fall off the radar and then years go by and suddenly you're like, wait a minute, we don't do that anymore. So anyway, so that's what it was for. In the last couple of years, it's been pretty minor stuff. Basically this year, obviously updating the dates because we're now going into a new year. The change of the names, the new people who are on the committee changed. There is some additional language about protecting pregnant workers and what they call it's called the Pregnancy Workers Fairness Act and Pump Act. So there's language in there to deal with that. There's some updated language on 403Bs. There's the hyperlinks have been changed to align with policies that have been updated and so forth. The sick leave table has been updated to reflect the new things that were in the contract. And then the health insurance coverage, remember in the collective bargaining, we upped it from 85 to 86%, and that now is reflected there. And other than that, it's largely the same handbook.
Yeah, just, I think one thing that kind of came out of the meeting, someone had asked a question about proper attire, and there was a question about whether something was allowed. And there was a statement here, but it didn't exactly match the policy. And there's obviously a reference to the policy, which is great, but it's really the policy that is the guiding principle. This is just a reference document to those things, yeah.
And actually, multiple places in the handbook, it references or the collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah.
Because those
Yeah.
things override whatever's in the handbook. The intention of the handbook is to be a resource.
Yeah.
So basically, those changes is just from what you really did the work 3 years ago.
Correct, and
Yeah.
the changes are just what I just
Yeah.
summarized.
Thank you for going to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
of
you to
course,
Bryant.
it's
Yeah.
I'm sure he's watching.
Very well run.
Okay, the annual audit questionnaire.
Yeah, there really isn't a lot we have to discuss. It's, every year for the audit, there's a questionnaire that's done, and basically, the chair is the one that has to sign off on it and do the doing it. There's just a part where she has to provide individual
I saw
information
that.
about various board
Yeah.
members, so I'll let you, however you want to manage that.
So I believe our chair last year did it in writing and had people submit individually, right?
Yeah, I think we
Well-
saw, emailed the, probably years of service and background, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, that was, yeah,
So
was
it would
just
be
like a
plus-
sentence.
Be +1
yeah.
for me. And probably for everyone else, actually.
Okay.
So do you just want us to each email you our
Yeah. that would
background
be-
and years of service?
That would be excellent.
I think I gave him a whole essay, and he said, just a few words.
Just yeah, I think mine was like a sentence. Okay. And the questionnaire, I don't do now.
My thought is, what you can do is you can do it if you have questions about it. Certainly feel
Okay.
free to ask me, and then next meeting, we can just give it to the
Got it.
board, and they say, do you guys feel comfortable with it? Then you sign
Okay.
off. Brian told me as long as we have it to give to them, that the auditors are coming first week of August. So as long as we have
Oh,
it
okay.
after the next meeting, we're good.
Are you sending something to us, or we're just sending? I just want to make sure I'm sending you the right information.
I'll send an email so that we have all board members.
Okay, great,
But
thank
it's
you.
very
It's
short.
Simple, okay.
Just-
Yeah,
And I'll
it's,
remind everybody not to
What is it,
reply
page
all.
3 of 3 on the
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thanks.
school board questionnaire.
Okay.
So-
Retained fund balance.
Oh, that's gonna be,
So, last meeting, you may recall, that Bryant presented you with a memo and kind of preloaded with some discussions we were hoping to have at this meeting and bring some closure to some of our year-end fund balance discussions. That was before the state legislature moved forward HB 1610, which is sitting on the governor's desk. We're waiting to see what the governor chooses to do with it. HB 1610 effectively would eliminate the retained fund balance as a concept. It's certainly as a concept as the way we use it. As we discussed last year, basically the retained fund balance currently allows the board to hold on to between 2.5% and 5% of the previous year's fund balance or budget to kind of keep as a contingency fund, as a mechanism to guard against, I don't know, things like sudden increases in health insurance costs, let's say.
Hypothetically.
Listen, just that as an example. And so that has been a tool that we've been able to use. So obviously, when we talked last time, we talked about a series of decisions we needed to make. We talked about starting with the idea of making sure that we covered the things we needed to do, such as putting the money in the trust funds that we have agreed to do. Then the conversation turned to what amount did the board want to hold in the retained fund balance? And then obviously whatever was left over was then going to be returned to the taxpayers to offset taxes. That logic still applies, except that we really can't make the decision about the retained fund balance, which means we can't really make the decision about the fund balance right now. However, Bryant and I have spent an awful lot of time talking about this and analyzing it, and he presented in his memo 2 scenarios, just as a way to give you the sort of the 2 ends of the continuum of possibilities for what might happen. So, in what he called scenario 1, that's the scenario where the governor signed 1610 into law. And what that would mean is we would have to return all of the retained fund balance to offset taxes. Now, I want to be clear about the fact that in the year that that is returned, it would have a significantly positive impact on the tax rate, no doubt about it. But then the following year, we would be absorbing that cost in addition to potentially putting forward another warrant next year, which we'd have to do every year to establish the new retained fund balance in the new concept that they have created. So basically what would be the problem with that is it would just basically reduce taxes artificially one year, and then the next year it would appear to be a giant increase in taxes no matter what we did. So it's just something to be aware of. The other end of the continuum, Bryant and I spent a lot of time talking about, like, if we're going to, assuming the governor vetoes the 1610 and there is a retained fund balance, we talked a lot about, like, strategically what would be the best scenario there. And what we agreed was that because just because the governor doesn't sign it this year doesn't mean that it won't come back again. And if we approach it like the retained fund balance is a perpetual thing that we're going to have into the future and max it out, it only defers the problem to another year. And so our recommendation in that scenario, if it continues, would be to only retain 3%. And the reason we chose 3% is in the new law, that's the amount that you can retain. So it does mean we retain less than we have in previous years, but what it would do is if in fact the following year the retained fund balance were to go away, it would be less of a spike. So basically the amount that we're retaining would be less. Now obviously both scenarios are not based on fact yet because we don't know what the governor's going to do. But in both scenarios, my and Bryant's recommendation is that we use the healthy fund balance that we have. Because remember, setting aside the retained fund balance, we're very fortunate, given all the financial struggles we've had this year, that we are coming into the end of the year in a very healthy place. We were able to use some grant funds to really offset some salary costs, and thankfully we were able to create a situation where we have more in a fund balance at the end of the year than we normally have. So we would recommend that in either scenario, we look to utilize as much of the 25-26 budget to tackle costs that are already identified in 26-27 to buy us more leverage next year because of the future unknown. So what am I talking about there? If you look at the memo that Bryant drafted, I'm looking at scenario number 1, where he talked about, he listed as no retained fund balance, but I'm going to run through the options. One of the things that he and I both agree, we don't forget 2 years ago, or a year ago, excuse me, we closed out the fund for the bond fund, and so there was $215,600 that dropped into the general fund. we're recommending deferring returning that, okay? Second, we recommend not touching the health benefits trust fund, so that what that will mean is the $134,500 that we were gonna take to pay the assessment will stay there, and then we'll add to that the additional $150 that the voters approved. So that will allow us to have a healthier trust fund balance. Keep in mind, the idea is buying flexibility in the future. The year-end fund surplus, just acknowledging that, kind of what I was saying initially, we are in a very healthy place because we were able to use funds to offset salaries. So we have about $1 million that we're coming in at the end of the year, which is a lot more than we normally have. Typically, we're in the...
It's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, we're usually in the $500,000 to $600,000 range. So we recommend paying as much of the roofing project that's about to happen here at this school this summer out of the year-end fund balance. Okay, we recommend paying all the severance payments we have to make out of the year-end fund balance. And IT equipment, one of the things that's happening, this is very much tied to supply chains and the craziness with on again, off again, war in Iran, and whether the Strait of Hormuz is open. It is impacting dramatically supply of technology products. And Jason has been able to get, in fact, a pallet of things were just delivered with all the computers. We were able to save $400 per device by buying them now. Because the next lot, they were going to basically go from $1,000 per device to $1,400 per device. So we recommend paying for that out of this year's fund, and that's about $172,000. And then the remaining costs of the upgrades on the steam or the shop space, there's a total cost there of about $18,000. Ultimately, when we fully equip the space and everything, we recommend that all come out of this year's fund balance. And then obviously we can't make a decision on retained fund balance or what to return to the voters for offset taxes until we know what the governor's going to do. So really all I would ask of you tonight is to give authorization for us to expend the funds that I've just listed to you out of 25-26, so that, again, it will free us up next year, so that money will not be coming out of the 26-27 budget. It's stuff that we already are going to purchase. It's just because we have this unusual situation with the large fund balance plus the uncertainty of what's going to happen with retained fund balance, we think it's in our best interest to make those purchases now.
And we don't have any impact fees that are expiring, right?
The most recent impact fee expiration is December 2028.
Okay.
And actually, depending on what we decide to do with the athletic field project, all of that could go towards whatever costs we need to incur if we decide to go forward with that.
We were going to use some of those impact fees for the plan, right, that we just said.
We did. That has been done
That's
already.
already spent.
That has already been spent. $21,600.
Couldn't wait.
Already taken out
See
of.
the future.
Well, we had to pay them to do it now.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, people expect to be paid when they do work. I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
So,
I don't see that on the action item. Should we add that?
Hold on a second. I thought I asked Ellen to add those things.
so the rationale for scenario one makes total sense. I'm in agreement with it. I would love us to be able to find more things to pay for this year and receive next year if we possibly could. I don't know if that's even possible. As far as in the future, should the governor sign the bill, it sounds like there would be, I'm assuming, 2 recourses that we could do to ensure we have enough revenue for any potential catastrophic event, and that would be one, do their retained fund balance process annually, or two, have a significantly larger budget
Or,
that we return annually.
or make a broader commitment to trust funds.
Or
as a general thing.
trust fund, sure.
Um,
Well, how would those be,
You
because that
would,
would be the, still authorized by the voters
yeah, the
prior
voters
to-
would have
Yeah.
to do it, but it would be, it's the trouble with the retained fund balance, if they change it to what they're talking about is, you aren't authorized to keep it beyond the year. The way we have built up the retained fund balance that we have is that we didn't do it all the year one. It was
Yeah.
built up over years.
Yeah.
In fact, we just, I think it was 2.5% for the first year I was here, and then we went up to 3, and then 3.5, and then 3.75 last year.
Yeah.
And certainly, if the concept continued to exist, I would recommend continuing to support it. But if there's any chance it's gonna go away, it might make more sense to talk about, trust funds and just making sure that rather than, because with a trust fund, the board is the agent to expend it.
Yep.
And all you have to do is have a public hearing and you can expend the money.
Yep.
With retained fund balance, there are a few more strings attached, and it's debate, under those circumstances,
But that would still require a significantly larger budget.
right, because in next year, extrapolating to next year, assuming we return all of the retained fund balance, when we get to the end of last year, in fact, Brian and I were doing the math, if we were, if we returned the entire retained fund balance, next year, we would get to the end of the year, and we'd have somewhere in the mid-600,000s left of unspent. But keep in mind, we would probably have a couple $100,000 in trust fund contributions. So if we wanted to return 500,000 to offset taxes, we wouldn't even have enough to do that. And then you get into, well,
Yeah.
okay, how are you gonna create a retained fund balance
Yeah.
if there's no margin to do that? What has happened in this community is over years, you've gradually built it up, and you've been able to keep it. Losing the ability to keep it, you're right, we could have a ginormous increase in our budget in 1 year and then just keep it year over year. Well, it would require some educating of the community that
Right.
that's what's happening, and I think people would have a hard time with it.
Yeah.
I would have a hard time with it, because it's like, it would require committing real dollars to a fund that you're not even sure you really are gonna need.
Yeah.
Yep.
There is still time to contact the governor. I have sent my letter in, so,
Yeah, so I would request, I apologize, there
Okay.
should have, I thought it was on here, but yeah, I would request at least a vote on the expenditures that we listed here, because I think that would be in our best interest, because it would reduce the fund balance by a couple $100,000, which would not only buy us the leverage we need now, but it would,
Reduce the artificial lowering.
right, artificial lowering of the rate.
This feels like a slow burn, like it's like, if
Yeah.
she doesn't sign it, it's like, okay, well, then let's just prepare for the,
And as long as I'm in the spirit of
Inevitable.
giving you bad news.
Yeah.
I just wanted to also mention, if the tax cap
Ah,
bill
That's right.
is also on our desk,
Then
and
we
again,
can maybe do
that's,
that.
that would be a local vote,
Then we wouldn't even be able to-
but if that gets signed into law, and if our community voted to do that, if you combine that with the retained fund balance going away, in year one, the year that the base is set, our budget effectively will be lowered by $1.4 million, artificially lowered. So the cap is on that amount, so you start with a much lower base. And so you move forward from there. I can't even begin to process the math of what that would mean,
Yeah.
but it does mean that, because initially, if the retained fund balance stays and it doesn't go away, the tax cap by itself is not that scary. Basically what it does is it says you use this consumer price index for the Northeast region in March, in the year before you adopt it. So like, for example, for us, in the developing the 27-28 budget, it would be the March 2026 CPI, which is known, it's 3.6%. Okay? Could we develop a budget with a 3.6% cap? I mean, we were 4.35 last year. So yes, it would mean some work, but it wouldn't be draconian. But if you combine that for the following year with the retained fund balance artificially lowering everything, then whatever that rate is a percentage of a smaller amount, and then it gives us less room. The other piece, just while I'm on that subject, I did take a look at, there's a component in the tax cap that caps administrative costs at 6%. If the definition of administrative costs does not include our custodial contract and our bus contract, which I'm pretty sure it won't. We've been taking a look at that. Our administrative costs currently are about 5.1%. So that would not have an impact on us unless we wanted.
It's 6% of the total budget, not a 6% increase. 6% of the total budget.
6% of the total, yeah. So you can.
Why not?
Your administrative costs
Right?
cannot be more than 6% of your total budget after the,
So this is local, just make sure, this is New Hampshire local control
local control with the excessive
with no,
state
with
override.
no ability to
Mandate.
actually control locally. Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
if you ever want to find out what a tax cap does, just look up Franklin. Right now, their school is looking at, like, it's been 35 years they've been under one. They're looking at $2.9 million over the tax cap, and the city council is not breaking the tax cap. So they're gonna be,
I mean, if I were a more skeptical person, maybe I am, I would think that there is a strategy involved in these two bills
oh, yeah,
getting to the governor's desk together,
oh, sure.
because
sure.
it is a major potential structural change in school finance.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So write those
How long does
letters.
she have? I'm like, I don't know why this is just sitting there, like, it just seems like.
We were just having the discussion of what her timeline is. Typically, if the
It's 5
legislature
days.
stays in session,
Yeah.
it's 5 days.
Yeah.
And then if they're not in session, it's the end of the
And June.
fiscal year, which is June 30 or July
June,
1.
Yeah, so we have a
So we'll
week.
know soon.
So either the option she had, she can veto it, which would be what both bills, by the way, I would love
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah,
She can sign one or both, or she can do nothing, and then they become law without her doing anything.
Signature, yeah.
her telephone number's right on the website. There is a submission form that you can use as well, so you don't really have to write a letter, or you can just address an email to her.
Yes, let's make sure we'd add that vote, if you wouldn't mind.
Yep.
Oh, you already did, perfect.
Yep. All right. Oh, 7's somewhat better. Moving on to the uncollected negative meal balance.
Yeah, this is something
Which is
that you're
outlined.
asked to do every year. At the end of the financial year, you have to write off whatever unpaid lunch debt there is. There's a $5,672.93 write-off that's required. Over 80% of those students, however, are now qualified for free and reduced lunch. So it's something that they just, for reasons, they just didn't get the paperwork in or whatever, so they didn't get qualified in time for that benefit. So it's, 80% of it is that. And there are 3 seniors that are exiting the system, and if you've ever tried to collect from somebody who no longer is in your system, it's not easy to do. So anyway, so $5,672.93. And as I always say every year, it's writing off the debt does not mean we stop trying to collect it. We would still try to collect it. It's just we have to, as a district, reconcile the books.
Okay. That was 2 in 1, right? All right, our final goals for school board are in there. And I believe we voted on them with the understanding
Yep.
that certain changes were gonna be made, so this is the final version, and, I had brought up to Todd that, I was starting to see posters for Backyard Bash and starting to think about, our goal of community involvement, and just thinking that
Dunk tank.
we should start to think about what we
Pencils?
want our presence to be, because we only meet once in July. And I did, I was researching the prices for dunk tanks, and it's actually very, very reasonable. Like a few $100s. They bring all the equipment, they set it all up.
I
And-
think they don't allow vehicle traffic on that grounds. I'm pretty sure.
No, but you just do it on the side.
I don't know how the cruisers, I don't know how the cruisers got on there, but I'm pretty sure they don't allow vehicles out there at all.
And my thought was that you make it some sort of, like, we don't want like Gary there and people keep trying to dunk him, right? That doesn't help us in any way.
No,
But
it does
thinking
not help us in
about,
any way.
Except a good
It would be
laugh.
funny, though.
But-
Oh, it'd be hilarious for you.
You know, do we have like a deck of questions that are like, true or false? The school board can do this, true, name
Well, I guess what's the
who is
What's the
the
point of
vice
us
chair of the.
doing
It
or
would
is
be
it a
to get
awareness?
people engaged in who we are, and you
Okay.
have to, even just, if you really want to dunk the person in the dunk tank and you don't know who they are, you are participating in some way in getting to know them or getting to know something about the
abusing
function
a
of the
poor-
school board. Yeah. I said I
It
would
could
be in
also
it.
be tell us something you love about the schools. Like, I
Yeah.
think that would be a nice way for it to be a two-way
Yeah.
communication. Okay. My field day at my school had something that was just a little bucket that you sat under, and when it hit you, the bucket of water fell on you. It was more reasonable to me.
Did you sit under it?
No, I didn't, but I would. But
I will volunteer to be the first person in there. I just don't think people want, maybe they do. Maybe they want to dunk me as much as other people.
I like the idea of doing of that being a form of
Something
like do
interactive
this,
like
answer
that.
this question, or yeah, I like that. That's good.
And interactive, and like
Yeah.
this is, then you get
Mm-hmm.
people to,
Laugh.
and
Engage.
without even trying, they
Yeah.
may learn something about
Yeah.
somebody there or
Mhm.
something about the school board. I mean, I think that,
Is there something
there's-
else that doesn't involve water?
there's a lot of misinformation or not even knowing like what the
Yeah,
role is.
so last year we
But-
went, we had a little tent, and we gave out pencils,
Yeah.
and no one showed up. So then we
Well,
decided
a lot
to.
of people asking for pencils
Yeah.
this year.
Well,
They asked for
So-
pencils, the little kids came by and
Yeah.
wanted pencils.
So then we started walking around,
Yeah.
trying to engage people and kind of asking about the devices in school and if they had any thoughts on it. And that was better, but it didn't really get any dialogue beyond that. What we asked them, it wasn't like, oh, why is the budget so high
Yeah.
or so low, or
Because
you
they
know,
were at a
what are you
backyard
thinking about?
bash and really.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe they
it's not
weren't thinking
great.
school stuff, but
Could you have like a,
That's why I think it could be more fun, like, maybe you do get the easy question of like, what is, name something.
can't hurt, right?
could it be like a spin wheel or something? that,
Yeah.
I was thinking that
you know,
exact same
right?
thing.
What's that?
I was thinking that exact same
Yeah.
thing.
That they could.
And if you get it
then
right, then you get
Get a
to-
little
to
prize. or-
throw the thing to hit the bucket or whatever.
I thought the spinning wheel was replacing.
Yeah, just.
Where's the benefit for the them, right? Yeah.
Lonnie, you'll be there the whole night, right?
We're gonna give them a pencil and say, if you guess it right.
Yes, a pencil
A
is your
pencil.
prize. Okay, I want to engage.
I do
think
like
in-
the idea of the spinning. But we could do Plinko.
What's
Love
that?
it. Plinko.
What's that? Like
Plinko. The chips.
Drop
Like the Price is Right kind of.
The Price is Right, yeah.
They did Plinko for the teachers in the
My age is young.
NES to win gift cards and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then you lose some of the, our goal is like an interaction.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like ask me something or
Yeah.
answer
Yeah.
something or,
No, I think the spinning wheel is a clever idea because it gives a defined set of questions and, you know, maybe have a free shot on there or something. Or whammo or what they used to be called, right? You missed it.
No
right?
whammies.
No whammies, right?
No whammies. Liz, was the bucket, I mean, I'm not completely unreasonable. I'm not, you
And
know,
I am
that
also willing
rigid.
to be in a dunk
But,
tank. I'm just kidding. But yeah.
Was it something people made, or was it like a pre?
No, I think it was
Rented?
rented.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'll look into it.
Yeah, because funding that with
And a wheel.
the school board budget money doesn't sound.
Yeah.
I'm willing to contribute.
One of the
It could be
questions,
under
how was this
PR.
dunk tank funded?
Yeah, right. I'm willing to contribute with my personal money, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
Weren't we just talking about?
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
isn't there certain money we have to spend for
Yeah.
it? Take it away.
So you want $1 million dunk tank? Is that what you're
Yes. No, like including setup, I think it was like $300. All right, I just wanna look into those and I'll look into the wheels. I'm sure there's blank templates where you can add in,
And we just,
that's my wheelhouse.
because I think the
No pun
only meeting
intended.
before the backyard bash is July 16th, so whatever is decided has to be decided then. And I don't know what the deadline is
Yeah.
to let the backyard bash know you
Right,
want to do a
know that we
booth.
would like to,
Yeah, you want me to
okay,
just let them know you want a booth and you'll figure it out?
that would be lovely, I
Okay.
think.
Sure. Does it
Close to road access. Just in case.
non-vehicle traffic or food? Yeah. Well, if
There
you want to
was-
splash us, there's that
Okay.
giant bucket on the
Splash
splashes pad. Yeah.
Yeah, can't you do the splash pad?
It's not as
Go
fun.
underneath
It's not
it.
as
I know,
fun.
you have to wait
You have to
for
wait
the-
3 minutes.
Okay, spinning wheel. I am taking 2 sets of notes. I feel like it's helpful for Ellen to have those, but then I need to have my own scratch here.
Is that thunder?
No,
I don't
that's
believe
me
so.
writing, I think.
It's very sensitive microphone.
All right. I think that was it for discussion items. Okay, we don't have donations to acknowledge or accept this week. So moving on to action items. Okay. I would take a motion to approve the meeting minutes from June 4th, 2026.
So moved.
By Gary,
Second.
second by Liz. I did figure out that I do need to, we have the same initials.
Oh, yeah.
So on my notes,
Oh.
I'm putting,
Huh.
like, yeah.
She's technically ES.
Yeah, you can do E.
Oh, okay, I will. Good call. Because there was a snafu in the minutes, but before. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any corrections?
0. Any corrections? Errors?
I didn't see any.
Other
I didn't see
than-
any.
Mm-mm.
It was not me who did a motion, it was ES, not LS. I didn't even think of that. Okay.
Oh, can you grab the manifest? Okay,
Oh,
thank you. You can read it too if you'd like to.
Thank you, Gary. I would take a motion for the manifest.
I move we approve the June 18th, 2026 payroll and AP manifest totaling $2,172,527.79.
Motion by Gary,
I'll second it.
second by Kathy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 0-1. Okay, and we had second reads on a couple of policies.
Do them all three together if you want to.
Okay. I seek a motion for the following 3 policies, second read. Policy DGD on the school credit card and authorization. Policy EFFA, on school lunch program meal charges, and policy DJE on fiscal management bidding requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Liz, Second by Gary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, and I seek a motion to approve the updated employee handbook as highlighted for us today.
So move.
Moved by Kathy,
Second.
second by Liz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I'll take a motion to approve the June 2026 recommendation for writing off the uncollectible meal debt in the amount of
$5,000 something.
Just want to make sure, $5,672.93.
I move.
Moved by Kathy,
Second.
second by Gary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. I seek a motion to approve the brand-new MOU with the Newmarket Police Department and the Newmarket School District.
So moved.
Moved by Liz,
I'll second.
second by Kathy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And I move that, or I would seek a motion to authorize that the expenditures listed in scenario 1 of the year-end fund balance memo can be
Expended.
expended as outlined.
So moved.
By Gary,
Second.
second by Liz. All those in favor?
Aye.
4-0.
And just for
Motion
clarity
carries.
purposes, all you authorized was the expenditure from 25-26. There are other decisions that will have to be made once the laws are finalized.
Thank you.
Can I throw one other thing out for Backyard Bash, since we only have one other meeting? We've debated and discussed doing this at my own school, but it's an activity with the, I'm not in place of, but alongside, where you have jars with different priorities for around the school,
Oh,
and you give everybody
interesting.
change, and they drop, or whatever you want to give them, but they drop what they want to see as the priorities for.
It's clever.
Yeah,
Oh.
we're thinking about doing that with like staff development or just our school goals or something, and that feels like maybe something we could use. I don't know.
Pom-poms or
Yeah.
See if they don't dunk tank next year.
Pencils.
Yeah, maybe.
pencils? Pencil toppers?
Eraser caps. Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything?
Would we make up the priorities and they
I
would put
think
them in?
We'd have
you would
to.
need to give them like
Yeah.
5 or 6 things, and
Yeah.
then they would say what they feel like are
They
the
would
things.
basically
Right.
vote using their change.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Sort of like the way back with the vision of the graduate and the sticky notes.
Yes.
And what
Yeah.
things had the most sticky
Yeah.
notes. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Clever.
I do not believe we have a need
No.
for non-public.
We do not. At
this
least I
week.
don't have one.
So I would take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I so move.
Moved by Kathy,
Second.
second by Liz.
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just waiting.
We are